Good evening, sunshine. I'm clean faced, fresh out of the shower, and smelling like sweat, cedar shavings, and a splash of lavender because I've been out there building a portable chicken run like the feral farmwife I am. While I was wrangling wire and chasing rogue poultry, the world was absolutely losing its mind. Again. Missiles flew, Trump bailed, Medicaid got mauled, and somewhere in Minnesota, democracy took a bullet. So let's strip it down, rinse it off, and get into the news with facts, flair, and a side of feathers. The U.S. Embassy branch in Tel Aviv was slightly damaged by shockwaves from Iranian missile strikes that hit the city. No U.S. personnel were harmed, and damage was described as minor by Ambassador Mike Huckabee. But missile shockwaves and embassy damage aren't exactly comforting phrases in the middle of an escalating conflict. Left-leaning outlets are highlighting the humanitarian fallout, with emphasis on rising Iranian civilian casualties and critiques of Israeli strikes as a reckless gamble, targeting infrastructure rather than military targets. Right-leaning outlets are framing Iran's actions as outright terror, backing Israel's response as necessary preemptive strikes against an existential threat, and dropping loaded terms like missile shockwave and casus belli to underscore a hawkish posture. Both sides mention damage to the U.S. embassy, but their tone tells two different stories, one of diplomatic concern, the other of potential war justification. So, when a U.S. embassy gets rocked by missiles, however slightly, does that mean the line's been crossed, or are we still pretending it's just background noise? What side of this are you on? And speaking of ducking responsibility, guess who bailed on the G7 like it was a bad first date? Buckle up! Trump dips out early, G7 or GTFO. The G7 summit kicked off with global powerhouses and photo ops, and ended early for the orange overlord who packed his bags mid-summit and rushed home, citing dire warnings and urgent Middle East threats. Left-leaning media is calling it what it looks like to them, a panic exit. They're framing it as an alarmist retreat with Trump laser focused on Iran while dodging broader global crisis, from climate collapse to economic instability. His failure to back the joint G7 statement on Israel and Iran, another red flag. They say about his unwillingness to play nice on the world stage. Right-leaning sources, meanwhile, are rolling out the red carpet of praise, painting Trump as a decisive leader who had to skip out early, thanks to a brutal snub by Australia's PM in a Middle East on fire. With trade meetings collapsing and diplomatic tensions high, conservative outlets are calling his move extraordinary, not because he left, but because they believe he's standing strong on sovereign power over alliance unity. The real fracture line? It's not just about when Trump left, it's about why. The left sees it as proof of his foreign policy tunnel vision. The right sees it as proof of his unbending loyalty to national strength over global consensus. From jet-setting diplomacy to gutting domestic policy, because why stop at foreign chaos when you can slash healthcare back home? 806 billion Medicaid cut, physical reform, or class warfare? In the latest move from Capitol Hill's shopping block, the Senate's Medicaid plan proposes an $806 billion cut. And surprise, surprise, the media can't agree on whether it's a budget necessity or a moral disgrace. Left-leaning outlets are calling it a gutting of care that targets vulnerable populations. Headlines focus on California Rep. David Valadao's vote, accusing him of putting Trump's agenda over his own constituents' health needs. Words like regressive, class war, and assault on working Americans are flying like confetti at a budget slashing parade. Right-leaning coverage is framing the bill as a needed dose of physical discipline, necessary curbs, delicate compromises, and all that jazz. It's about responsibility, they say, not cruelty. They also point to the plan as part of Trump's bold economic agenda, conveniently glossing over any projected harm or hospital concerns raised by stakeholder groups. Center outlets are sticking to the numbers and policy impact, less rage, more compromise, and a spotlight on things like Medicaid provider tax changes that affect hospitals but often get lost in the headline shuffle. The real divide? Economic justice versus physical restraint. One side says it's a class punchdown, the other says it's a grown-up budgeting. Same $806 billion, two very different Americas. Quick hits, because the news won't let you breathe. Let's speed run through today's chaos, corruption, and capital level confusion, because even the scroll bar is exhausted. Minnesota manhunt turns political. Vance Bolter has been arrested for the targeted shootings of Minnesota lawmakers. Officials launched a multi-pronged manhunt, and sources say he was deeply religious and conservative. No jokes here, just a chilling reminder of how ideology can turn deadly. Hegseth sends more power to the Middle East. Pete Hegseth ordered additional capabilities to the region because nothing says peace like more American firepower. The government's love language is missiles. MAGA movement breaks over Israel-Iran conflict. Tucker Carlson says the MAGA crowd is split. Some want intervention, others say stay out. Turns out even red hats aren't all marching in sync. RFK Jr. gets the CDC panel. RFK Jr. removes all members of the CDC panel advising the U.S. on vaccine, replacing science with vibes. When in doubt, delete the experts and call it liberty. Jesus. Ugh. Obama defends DACA on anniversary. On the DACA anniversary, Obama warned that dreamers are being demonized and treated as enemies because immigrant children may make easy political targets when you're out of ideas. After all of that mess, I think we've earned a little serotonin. Let's rinse off the chaos and end on something that won't make your eyes twitch. Tell me something good. The Dead Sea Scrolls just got a holy upgrade. Science and scripture walked into a lab. No punchline, just a plot twist centuries in the making. An international team of researchers used AI and radiocarbon dating to predate the Dead Sea Scrolls. And guess what? They're way older than we thought, like centuries older. This isn't just a nerdy footnote in a dusty academic journal. This could rewrite chunks of biblical and historical timelines. The AI model, fittingly named Enoch, analyzed handwriting with machine precision, lining it up with radiocarbon results to get a clearer picture of who wrote what and when. About 79% of the AI's estimates pass scholarly sniff tests for accuracy, offering a new gold standard in dating ancient texts without all the human guesswork. Left-leaning media is calling it a revolutionary leap that could reshape how we understand the origins of religious texts. Right-leaning coverage is celebrating it as proof that scripture holds up, with some even dubbing it as a jaw-dropping twist confirming biblical truths. And for once, both sides agree the tech is legit and the implications are massive. So, whether you're team faith, team science, or somewhere in the sacred middle, this discovery is a win for knowledge, collaboration, and a future where AI doesn't just generate memes, it helps us decode the past. And honestly, that's something good. And that, my loves, is your Monday rundown. Proof that even when the world's on fire, a clean face and a solid power drill can still get the job done. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got baby Keats to check on, twin babies who think sleep is optional, and just enough energy left to reheat a cup of coffee I brewed yesterday. Stay sharp, stay kind, and stay feral when necessary. I'll see you tomorrow.